Taking a little moment to pour up. There we go. All right. And let me get back to my screen over here. All right. So, aloha, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are live again with Confessions and Conversations. It's your girl, it's your host with the most, your favorite chick to chit chat with, Ms. Mo. And tonight we have, sound like we got a doggone hurricane or tornado or something going on outside. The wind just whistled through here like, I mean, like it's really loud. We are live with another episode of Confessions and Conversations with Miss Lencia Marshall. Yay!
Hi.
That goes well. All right. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about this wind howling outside my window. I just pulled up my little weather app to make sure I wasn't in the midst of something else going on that I needed to be concerned about here.
You know, because you'll be in the middle. You be like, wait a minute, what's going on?
Listen, we had a pandemic, earthquakes. Now I got a tornado.
Everything.
Whew, dear Lord, give me one thing
per
year, please, and thank you. So tonight, guys, we will be talking about trauma and the relationship with food. And we'll also be dealing with spiritual and physical weight loss. As those of you know who have been connected with me, I have openly admitted multiple occasions that I am what you will call an emotional eater. And that can be really, really dangerous when you got a lot going on in your life, because that means that there are so many triggers for it. So tonight we'll be talking to Lencia, and I don't want to do a gang of talking, so we want to turn it over to her. And Lencia, go ahead and give us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, goodness. Okay, so hey, everybody. My name is Lencia Marshall. I am a jack of a lot of trades. I'm excited to talk about this topic of, trauma and food and being a foodie, being an emotional eater and all of that jazz. I don't know what you guys want to know about me. I have a lot. It's a lot. But the bottom line is I am a mother of 4. I've been married for almost 17 years. I have several businesses that I run, and I still work a 9 to 5. So I have a lot on my plate. So talking about being an emotional eater, like, oh yeah, I'm there. So that's something that is definitely something I've been transparent about it as well. Like, I'm an emotional eater, like whether it's a happy emotion or whether it's a sad emotion. If it's an emotion, I'm an emotional eater. So
now, what have you learned about being an emotional eater? Is it something that's like, how did we end up in this place? Like, is it just, do you believe that it's a result of simply trauma or different things in our life? Or is it something in us that we're kind of, like, it's something, do you believe it's something we're born with? Or is it something that it just became a response to trauma or a response to emotional fits? Is it just like comfort, we have the hair and we hear people talk about comfort food. Is it that
Mm-hmm.
we've just kind of overindulged in being comforted by food, or what do you believe it is?
I think it's a couple of things. So I think the first thing is that the inability to actually work our way through trauma allows us to look for other ways to be an outlet, right? So like if we don't talk about it, if we don't go to therapy, if we don't handle the trauma in the correct way, then we'll look for other ways to sort of lean on it and make us feel better, which then comes to comfort food. Like who doesn't want to sit in front of a plate of, fried chicken, collard greens, candy yams, mashed potatoes and gravy, some dressing with a little, cranberry sauce on the side, then have, some peach cobbler, right? It's warm peach cobbler. It has to be warm. And then you might have a little vanilla bean ice cream on the side. Like it makes you feel good, when your stomach fills up, it feels great, right? But I think for the most part, and that's great to eat that way during the holidays. But if that's something that we're doing every day, or we're looking every time an emotion changes, it means that we're not handling whatever the issue is correctly. Like we're not facing it, we're not talking about it. And I wrote a book about, the 21-day purpose guide for the strong friend. And what I've noticed is that a lot of strong women are emotional eaters because we don't call people and tell people about our problems. Like we're so used to being the person that everyone else calls on. So it's like when we get into a situation, it's just like, oh, okay, all right, give me a Hawaiian roll. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
On the counter in that girl.
Give me a whole bag of chips, okay? I don't want I don't care if it says 6 chips is 150 calories. Give me the whole bag. You know what I'm saying? So that's that thing that's that outlet that we have as being the strong friend that says, okay, I'm just gonna eat my way through this. And it's not healthy. And I don't think in that moment, we're not thinking about it. Later on, when we look at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, oh, where does 30 pounds come from?
Listen,
so most definitely, I think that the inability to actually handle trauma in an effective way that allows you to actually heal from it is the reason why there are a lot of women who are emotional eaters. So
I'll take notes during my meeting. So
well, go ahead, girl.
So now one of the things you mentioned, because 2 things. The first one I want to pull out is strong women. I just recently saw, I don't know what it was, a podcast or a show or something that I think Michael Bazin did. And he was like, are strong women tired of being strong? And I didn't get to watch it because it came on early and I was still working or I was doing something, but I couldn't tune into it. And I saved it so that I can go back and watch it. But the way my schedule been set up. So I kind of wanted to dig there because you mentioned it. What relates to that's something that you feel like you're that strong one, you're the go-to one for a lot of people and things like that. Do you ever feel like you're tired of being the strong one? And if so, what do you do when you get to that point?
Absolutely. And it's one of those situations where my circle knows when I'm tired before I do. Well, they know before I'll actually admit that I'm tired. So I've surrounded myself with people that know me and they sort of kind of like hold me accountable. They're like, okay, you're doing too much. Like, okay, enough is enough. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I know this pandemic that we're in has been and it is very devastating. And it has changed life for so many people. But for someone like me who is the strong friend and an introvert at the same time, like I have been in my house and I've just been like, ooh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Like, like people like, I'm in the hospital and I'll be like, okay, let me pray for you. Right where I'm at.
From the house.
You know what I'm saying? Like right here. And so it's been definitely a refueling and resetting being in that area, because of course a lot of people are spending more time with their families and like they're dealing with other things. So like the issues that they're dealing with, they're like, there's I ain't got time to call nobody. We're in a full-blown pandemic. I can't even go to the grocery store without a mask on. Okay, so my boyfriend not acting right ain't really that much of importance right now. So I'm gonna just, put my mask on and go to the grocery store. But when I know that I'm becoming overwhelmed and when I'm becoming tired, I will shut it down. I will shut it down. People will call me and I won't answer, because my thing is this. One thing I had to understand as the strong friend is that I'm not the only strong person. I'm not the only strong friend. So if you call me and I don't answer, there's somebody else that you're going to call. And one day you're going to get to the point where you're like, before you call a person, you gonna call on Abba Father. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like I had to understand that I'm not the end all be all. Like one of my friends asked me, she was like, "Do you think you God?" And I was like, no. She was like, "Well, why do you think you gotta solve everybody's problems?" I was like, "Well, they call me, like, we're not gonna chit chat about your problem and not come up with a solution."
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, she's like, "Well, why do you feel like you always have to solve?" I was like, "Listen, if I have OCD, if I answer the phone and I hear a problem, I gotta figure out how to solve it. That's just who I am." And so, but I'll definitely shut it down. I will definitely silence everything. And sometimes I'm forced into that silence, because one thing that I do is that I make sure that I protect everybody else. And sometimes I protect them before protecting myself, right? So if I know I'm not in a good space to protect everyone else, it's a shutdown moment, right? So that's just where I be with it. I'm like, listen, y'all don't want this smoke, y'all don't want this attitude, y'all don't want any of that. So let me help y'all. Let me help y'all help me. So yeah, I shut it down.
One of the funny things you said was that whole thing about they'll call somebody else if I don't answer the phone. When I tell you that is something I struggle with, if this thing right here rings, I need to answer.
Yeah.
You took time out of your day for whatever reason to call me. Let me answer. It's not because I think I'm so grand, so whatever. You took time to call me. That means something to me. And I feel like I have to be available. And so I'm picking up the phone. I was cleaning and, getting things ready because I have a little gathering tomorrow as well here at my place. And then I like on Fridays, because I do the show, to just chill for the day so that my eyes are rested. I'm not staring at the screen all day. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed so that I can interact with the people, So I've been doing a lot of running yesterday and today. And somebody texted me and I was like, if I stop and answer this text, I'm not going to finish what I'm in the middle of, and I didn't feel like getting up to do it already, so let me just finish. I moved about 5 more steps and was like, let me go see who this is, because they may need something. They may be calling me. They may be texting me about some information they need. And it's like, I find that I've become a slave to my phone because I feel like I have to be available. And if it's somebody in the family or something going on, I was just telling my sister earlier today that I'm just exhausted with family stuff. Not that there's drama or anything like that, but it's like because of how I carry them. And I don't mean I take care of them. I'm there for them. I just, if something's going on with you, it's going on with me.
Right.
I'm overly involved and invested in stuff that ain't my business. Stuff ain't mine. It ain't even nothing there, but I'm carrying it.
You say it ain't even none of your business.
So before you know it, you overwhelmed, you stressed, you exhausted. What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go in that little snack drawer. I'm gonna open the freezer, pull out about 2 or 3 freeze pops. No, I shouldn't be eating those because they sugary. I'm pre-diabetic, so it's like, come on,
You know what? I'm not gonna get you.
It's like you start to engage in those things, and it's like, boo, let folks figure their life out. And I really think it's back to that OCD stuff. And really OCD has a level of control attached to it that if you're not careful, it goes beyond just keeping things clean, neat, and in order. It goes, it filters over into you trying to keep people's lives neat and clean and in order, but according to what you think neat, clean, and in order is. And now you done stepped over the boundaries, crossed the lines, and now you're getting cussed out. You're like, oh, I was just trying to help, sugar. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But you know what? That's when we operate beyond our capacity in that moment. That adds to us being emotional eaters. And you know, like even like you're saying, like how you carry your family, like you love your family, you want everything to always be good, you always checking on them and stuff. And so when we're not okay with ourselves, right, like when we need to like really just shut the world out and just bunker down and focus on self, when we don't do that and we still taking on everybody's issues and problems, still answering the phone, still trying to figure out stuff through text message and all of that, that adds on unwanted or unneeded stress. You get what I'm saying? So it's like now we on the phone texting, right? And let me tell you something. I'm one of those people that would be on the phone, on my cell phone, talking to one person and be texting somebody on my iPad. And then I have a Hawaiian roll in my hand. So, you know what I'm saying? Because you know, and sometimes I have to stuff food in my mouth to keep me from saying stuff I ain't got no business saying. Because I be like, are you serious right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, did you even consult the Lord? Oh, okay. Let me put some bread in my mouth because I don't want to have to. So when we take on too much, it's just like that we go right back to the comfort food. And it actually goes back to trauma, because if you think about why it is that you are the way to be the saver, not savior, but the saver for everyone, you think back far enough and you'll start picking out points in your life where people were not there for you in your time of need. And when you felt like you needed to be protected, that the people weren't there, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you weren't protected, you were left vulnerable. And when you start thinking about all those things, it'll play in your mind and you're like, okay, I know what that feels like, so I don't want to do that to another person. Well, we're just human. You know what I'm saying? Like we're just human beings. So, you know, like it's a real issue when we don't handle trauma, you know, like in an effective way. And then here we are, you know, I'm about to be 40 years old and I looked in the mirror, I was like, who you? Where you come from? Where all this weight come from, girl? Like, I was like, I grew up and I wasn't heavy set growing up. I wasn't big bone growing up. I wasn't any of that. And then I was like, I got to be an adult. And I was like, and in my early 20s, it was all great. I'm talking about like, even after 3 kids, it was all great. But when depression hit, it was like, okay, so I ain't gonna go talk to no therapist right away. But I'm gonna order takeout every day though. And let me tell you, it all plays together, because now depression hit. I don't feel like cooking anymore. Right? I got an entire family. I don't feel like cooking no more. I don't feel like standing in the kitchen, because something that I'm very good at and that, you know, will bring you joy. You know, people be in the kitchen cooking, they be singing, having a good time, maybe glass of wine, whatever, right? You're not doing it no more. So now you still got to feed your family, right? So now you're going to order pizza. Now you DoorDashing and Grubhub and Ubering, because you have gotten to a point where you just want to be in seclusion and you just like, listen, I need a break. I need a break. But it's all a domino effect. You get what I'm saying? So it's like depression hit, and then you start changing your daily activities, and in changing your daily activities, you start picking up other stuff. And that stuff that you start picking up is unhealthy. So listen, let me tell you, I had surgery 2 weeks ago today. And I was like, okay, you know, after I have surgery, I'm going to go back to eat my, you know, my spinach. And girl, listen, let me tell you something. My husband was home with me the first 4 days. When he went back to work, like my 15-year-old daughter, she was trying to, you know, keep up with me eating and stuff. And I was in the room, and after they had given me my phone back, you know, I was in the room, so I was just ordering DoorDash. I'm like, ooh, I want some pancakes. Let me order some Denny's. Ooh, I want some French fries. Let me order some Five Guys. But the true thing, and it still goes back to trauma, whether it's physical or it's spiritual. My body was hurting. I'm still in pain, but I was in excruciating pain. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna eat. But if I'm gonna eat something that's gonna taste good and it's gonna make me feel good because my body already in pain. So I had to feel good, right? But then a couple of days, I was like, listen, cut it out. Cut it out before you be around here 400 pounds. Cut it out. Yeah. I worked hard to lose this weight and I was like, I'm going to keep it off. So I'm like, cut it out. So I'm back. I ate my spinach and onions today. Well, I ate cabbage and onions today. So, but no, it's still the same. I ate some cabbage and onions, girl. I just cut me some cabbage and threw me some purple onions in there and sauteed it up. Just ate it. No meat.
Okay. I just ate it. Now, the funny thing is, because you talked about how it leads to not wanting to cook, but still wanting that food, and then now you ordering out, and like you said, you got a whole family to feed. So unless they cook for themselves, now you ordering out for everybody. So now you expensing all of it. Now your expenses are increasing. So now you cutting into your finances. And so now all of the goals you was working towards, now it's gonna take a little longer. You gotta work a little harder because you gotta build that back up, but you still ain't stopped ordering from DoorDash and Grubhub and Uber Eats. Like the more we order, the more types of resources they come inventing so that we can continue to order.
I know, right?
Let me make it convenient for you to be unhealthy. And then when you go into the apps, they don't have like the salad bar or, you know, some of the vegetarian places or the vegan restaurants. They got burgers, chicken, pizza, tacos, all the stuff you know you don't have no business eating. Now
they
you
have comfort
this stuff. You're not just gaining weight. You're now subjecting yourself to sicknesses that come along with this weight gain, hypertension, what's the diabetes, and now you got to pay all this expensive medicine because you couldn't come back on the chicken wing, or in your case, you know, that Hawaiian bread spirit ministry you got going on over there, you know. So now it's like there's so many other things going on. Now I got to take a pill for this, a shot for this. And now I have to work out if I want to get it off, but I really don't feel like it because I'm still battling a level of depression. Yep. So that laziness comes and kicks it with depression. And so now mentally, because I'm not feeling good, I feel justified to not feel like getting up. I'm having a moment. Let me just lay in it. Let me give myself permission to have this moment. But that moment didn't turn into months, maybe even years. And that quarantine 15 look more like that quarantine 15 times 20.
Listen.
And so now you got all of this stuff. And I was talking to a friend and she was talking about how she has these memberships. Don't even go, but pay them faithfully.
Oh, let me tell you, one of the most expensive gyms in the area that I live in, Lifetime Fitness. Beautiful facilities, swimming pools, slides for the kids, indoor, outdoor pools, Olympic size pools, the great spa, girls, everything. My membership was $120 a month for 5 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I paid $120 a month and never set foot in that gym. I was going before, but then when things started changing and shifting, I didn't. And it may have been more than 5 years. I was paying that it was auto draft the first of every month. It would just come out and I'll just be like, oh, I'm going to start back going. Then my oldest daughter aged out and it went down to like $108 a month. I was like, oh, okay, well, it went down. I was like, hey, I'm going to go back. Nope.
Sis, next time you want to see somebody $120 monthly, I'm gonna send you my cash app when we done.
You know what?
Put it to use.
My husband said the same thing. I went through my bank account and on my like auto draft, I was like, I don't use this. I don't use this. I don't use this. Like, I didn't even know I had that coming out. Girl, listen. So like that gym membership is just a waste. It was a waste of money. And at one point, once I canceled it, I was like, oh, I'll just eat this $120 a month. You know, like I can go into my lunch. And yeah, I was working downtown. So food downtown is expensive, but you know why everybody else want to eat something quick? Girl, I'm out there ordering Coco's, full blown catfish meals with dressing and macaroni and cheese with a piece of cake. I'm eating this for lunch. My job is stressing me out, so don't judge me. Don't judge me. I was just bad.
So now, like, all my emotional eating isn't necessarily traced back to trauma.
Okay.
How did you realize that your issue or your relationship with food, the unhealthy part of the relationship, how did you realize that it was connected back to trauma? How would someone identify that? Because I would just think I like eating what I grew up eating.
Well, and that's a good point. I didn't grow up eating what it is that I eat now. So like my mom cooked. She cooked home cooked meals whenever it was like a delicacy. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a treat. My mom was like, when we went to McDonald's, like you get 2 items of drink. If you got burgers and fries, you got burgers. So like how I eat now is not how, you know, like I ate growing up. Like we didn't go to restaurants, you know, a whole lot. You know, growing up, Red Lobster was sort of kind of like going to, I don't know, what's a good restaurant now that people go to? I guess like a steak restaurant, a nice steak restaurant. That's what it was, you know, growing up in a small town. That's what Red Lobster was, right? So that wasn't what I was used to. And I sat down one day and I had to think about, I'm eating. When did I start eating this way? Because when my kids were little, like I would get up in the morning, make them breakfast, and there were on my days off, I had to make them lunch and I had to cook them dinner. Like we didn't go, you know, like out to eat all the time, and I wasn't getting them fast food, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, where did the disconnect happen? Where did the pattern of behavior change? And once I triggered it back, and I was like, dang, that was around the time that I really, really started getting depressed, right? And then once I identified that, okay, this is when I started getting depressed, that wasn't the end of it, right? Because depression is the symptom. It wasn't the root. Why was I getting depressed? Why was my emotions changing? What happened that shifted? Well, I was going on this journey of trying to be a better me and everything, but at the same time, I was like, I don't want to live in Iowa. I didn't want to move away from the East Coast. I didn't have any family around me. It's just me, my husband, my kids. And I'm like, I can't do this. I had never really driven in winters before. And so Iowa winters are brutal, going down I-80. And that just stressed me out. And it was just all of these big changes in my life. And I was like, what is the problem? Why is it that at this juncture in my life, that shifting isn't as easy as it was before? And it was because I started to realize that there were things that I did not like when I saw and, you know, when I looked in the mirror, right? And so, and not looking in the mirror physically, but looking in the mirror at my spiritual self, right? Looking beyond the outside and looking on the inside. And so that caused depression. And then being able to go down the avenues of what happened. And then going back to childhood trauma, going back to being molested, going back to being raped, going back to just really becoming, I guess you want to say, it's deeper than just being an introvert. Like I am my biggest critic, and sometimes I'm my biggest fan, but most times I'm my biggest critic. And so like when a lot of things happen, I rely on myself. Like I'm calling myself. I will talk to myself. I will have a whole conversation with myself. And when you don't have an outlet to get that out in a rational way, then it just sits there and it festers. And having to go back and starting to deal with that trauma took me into deeper depression. So I can't even blame my weight on my kids, because even after I had my third kid, well, I was still skinny. I was still skinny. And then all of a sudden, I was like, wait a minute, I see a line across the middle of my stomach. Like, where did this come from? Mm-hmm. And as I'm asking myself, where did it come from? I was still eating out. So the line in my stomach, it disappeared because the top part started folding over. So I was just like, what happened? Like, hey, sis, where you come from? You know, so it definitely was one of those situations where self-evaluation made it to where I was like, okay, this has to stop. This has to stop. And it's so crazy because my husband even started picking up on it. Like, if I had a bad day, he was like, oh, you want some red mango? Sure do. I had a bad day. I need some red mango. And I feel like red mango was better than eating ice cream because it was froyo. So, girl, from the way I made it so unhealthy. But yeah, it's definitely it. If you take a look and do self-evaluation and keep going back and find the root cause, not just looking at the symptoms, but going back to the root cause. And for me, going back to what I said earlier, like those times of not being protected, feeling like I was just in a world by myself, it produced so much. It produced so much. So yeah, self-evaluation will do it every time. You'll find out why it is that you eat the way you eat when you do self-evaluation.
Found out a whole bunch of stuff.
Whole bunch of stuff, girl.
So now you mentioned being molested, being raped. Am I correct in assuming that this happened early on in your life?
Yeah, so like some of it was happening like as a kid, but I actually have trauma from being an adult as well. So as a kid, I learned very early to suppress, you know what I'm saying? Like stuff happening, you just like, okay, you just don't supposed to talk about it, right? Like like when your family doesn't talk about it, girl, that's a whole other subject. When you talk about how things happen to, especially in our community, where things happen to children and adults in the family, instead of handling the situation in a healthy way, everybody feel like being quiet about it is the best way, you know what I'm saying, to go. But what all of that does is produce, you know what I'm saying, a feeling within a child that that's what you do. Silence is how you cope, and that is not how you cope. So I learned early on, like probably before the age of 10, I learned early on, like silence is how I cope. So as an adult, like that's what I would do. And every now and again, I would say maybe twice a year, that explosion came. And that explosion, you didn't want to be on the receiving end of the explosion, because it was like all of that had, you know what I'm saying, been happening, and it had been piling on. And then all of a sudden, boom, boom goes the dynamite. And so it was unhealthy. However, it was a cycle that I was in, to where I'm like, in the beginning, I didn't realize what was happening. But then once I realized that I was in a cycle, I was like, okay, how do I break this? I'm too smart for this. Like, how I break this. And that's when I started going to therapy.
So the reason I asked about the time frame was because you mentioned it also in correlation to the trauma that led to the eating behaviors or whatever. And so was there something that triggered that past, or those past experiences, that led you to bring it back to the forefront, that kind of pushed you into that behavior?
It was just an accumulation of events. And one of the biggest ones that happened was my dad. My dad and I, like, I'm daddy's girl, right? So my dad told me I was angry. And I was like, I'm not angry. You know what I'm saying? He was like, do you hear yourself? I'm like, I'm not angry. He's like, why are you so angry? Mind you, I'm an adult. I think I might have been like 27, 28 years old. Nope. I was older than that, because this was when 8-year-old was a baby. So this was just like 8 years ago. And so he was like, "You're angry." And I was like, "I'm not angry. I don't know what you're talking about, but I ain't angry." And so I knew that my dad would never tell me anything to hurt me. I knew that he would, like not be trying to embarrass me or trying to demean me or anything. So in that moment, I was like, I'm not angry. But then later on, I was like, why is my daddy thinking I'm angry? Like, I don't want my daddy to think that I'm an angry person. And so I had to start like realizing like, why? And so I kept asking myself, why am I angry?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of those memories and everything started to come to the forefront. And I'm just like, I'm not angry. I'm mad as hell. I'm mad that as a child, I did not feel protected. And it wasn't my parents' fault. You get what I'm saying? But it just like, as a child, I did not feel like in that moment, I was protected in those many moments that I wasn't protected. Right. And so then I had to admit, like, I'm mad at my parents, right? I'm legit mad at my parents. I'm mad at my family members that did this. You know what I'm saying? I'm mad that my entire family who knew what was going on did not do anything. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, the type of mama I am, I'm a head buster. I wish, you understand what I'm trying to tell you? I wish, and this is something that it may not, it's very unorthodox. And like people are like, oh no, you got to deal with things the right way. No, because there are some times where you have to show your children just how far you will go to protect them. You get what I'm saying? I don't want my kids to feel like they're unprotected. So my child comes to me and they tell me that an adult family or not has orange is not my color. But I might have to sport it for I might have to sport it for a little while. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. And so in my mind, I kept asking myself, like, why didn't, my parents go beat my family members up, like pistol whip them or something. No, I'm not condoning violence. I'm just saying these are the thoughts that I was having in my head. So, and but it's real though. Like, it's real. So that's what I'm thinking. So I'm mad because I'm like, they didn't react the way I felt like that they should have reacted. You know what I'm saying? Becoming an adult, I think I was mad at my friends for a little while because my friends did not pick up on the fact that I was hurting. You know what I'm saying? My friends didn't pick up on the fact that I had been sexually assaulted. Like I didn't come out and tell them. I mean, who would know? You know what I'm saying? But in my mind, I'm like, you should know. You should
pick it up.
Friend, you should know. How they was gonna know though? You know what I'm saying? So it was a lot.
They're supposed to sense something different about you. They're supposed to be able to read you from here. Somebody touched you. Who was it?
That's how I felt. I felt like, like my friend should have known. And because of that coping, that silent coping, when I was a kid, when I became an adult, I just put it in the back of my mind and I just kept on going. But here's the thing, whatever is in you will come out, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And all of that trauma, all of that hurt, all of that anger filter into every relationship, whether it was my relationship with my husband, whether it's my relationship with other people, whether it was my relationship with my children, like it filtered into every part of my life. And a lot of times in a bad way, like my husband would be like, so you just not gonna ask me to help you? What I'm asking you to help me for? I can do this on my own. What, excuse me, sir? You know what I'm saying? So like I had been used to coping on my own for so long. Like I was an internal mush surrounded by like a hard shell of just protection, I guess you want to say. Yeah.
Like a Skittle.
Yep.
A hard shell, mushy on the inside.
Listen, I was more like a cactus though. Because if you got too close, you were gonna get pricked.
So now, do you still so part of the show, we were talking about the trauma as it relates to the unhealthy relationship with food. So have you corrected that? Is that still an issue? Also, earlier you talked about you mentioned how we weren't handling trauma the right way. So have you identified, because even if it's still something you struggle with a little bit or a lot of bit, or we still struggle with this, have you learned some ways that are healthier to deal with trauma? Because some folks will have these issues, or will have these situations that impact our lives. And although I'm not thinking about this every day, I'm not talking about it to everybody I meet, I'm still a functioning, active adult human being. You know what I mean? I'm interacting with people, I'm going about my day, I'm building new relationships, I may be in a relationship. We don't feel like it's still an issue for us. And sometimes what it does is it shows up in a different way, and we just throw it something. You know what I'm saying? But what it really is, that little girl is acting out. This is why you're conducting yourself this way. She still doesn't feel safe, even in this moment. Even though the adult you is still walking out life, that little girl is still on the inside like, so you're not gonna do nothing about what happened to us?
Right.
Moving on, like ain't nothing happened here. Like, sis, I'm still inside of us. I'm still in this moment. Like, she has not, and that's when the trauma is from, the little girl's time frame. So it's like she's still sitting there like,
she's the puppet master.
Gotta do something about what we went through. And I think that's why she be like, give me something good to eat then. And I'll be quiet for a minute. Because that's all it is. It's a soothing. It's like giving the baby a pesticide. Here, take this, because I can't deal with you right now. I just need you to shut up so I can finish doing this. And I had a conversation with some people before, and I remember telling this lady, like, you're battling depression. Like, you're depressed. Oh, I'm not depressed. You're functioning, but you really are depressed. When you open your mouth and make confessions about your life and what you will do and won't do, it's exposing the fact that you really are depressed. But because we're still functioning in life, moving,
we fool ourselves.
We feel like we're good. And then, us Christians, I don't want to get no life to it. I don't want to speak that. Baby, you better call that thing out so you can then go ahead.
Come on. Let me tell you. Yes, I have found a way to combat it. Let me say that, combat it. So this year, I would say it was like an issue for the last couple of years. And I was just like, you know what? But this year it was different. I was like, I'm going to be 40 come January of 2021. And I don't want to go into the next decade like this one was, right? And so I was already in therapy, and I'm just like, I got to shed some stuff spiritually, but I need to do this at the same time. And so for some people, like they can go to the gym and lose weight. They can go do some squats, get on the machines, and they're fine. And they lose weight. They change their eating habits and they start exercising. Because of the person that I am, and because of the complexity of how my mind works, that didn't work for me. So I went extreme. I'm serious. I actually went and I joined a weight loss clinic. So I paid good money to go through this program. And I'll be transparent. The program was like $1,248 for a 12-week program. But it was so detailed, and it was so it held me accountable. Like, I had to go to an actual appointment every single week. I had to go to an appointment every week, and I had to put in this book, like, what did I eat? How much of it did I eat? You know what I'm saying? And if it went against what I was supposed to be eating, I had to explain it. Like, she was sitting on the other side of the desk like, well, what happened on this day where you cheated on this, okay? I'm like, listen, I was just hungry. I just want some sugar, She's like, no, what happened? And so the beginning phase of it was an HCG diet. So let me preface this by saying I am terrified of needles. I refuse to get a flu shot. I do not like pain in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So I'm the person that will tell my friends, like, girl, yeah, let's go get a tattoo. Mm-mm. I have one. It's not even finished because I couldn't deal with pain. So the first phase of it, I literally had to conquer my fear because I told you I had to shed some stuff spiritually too while I'm shedding physical weight. And I had to inject myself in my abdomen with HCG every day for 42 days. I was on a 500 calorie diet. And at the beginning, I was like, I'm gonna be dead. I was like, listen, I'm gonna be dead right about day 3. I'm gonna be dead. But then I wasn't hungry. You know what I'm saying? Like they told me the foods that I needed to, you know what I'm saying? Like how the foods that I could eat and how much of it I could eat. And that's just what I did. And I was okay. I was okay. I cheated Father's Day because we had a private chef come in. But the next day I went right back into that changed food. I was so proud of myself when I finished the first 42 days. Because I'm like, did I just give myself injections for 42 days? But it was something about conquering that fear, the fear of the unknown, that fear of that pain, which it wasn't even painful, but that fear, because what people don't realize is that it might have been the fear of the needles in that moment, but there are so many fears that we carry within ourselves.
Yeah.
Like breaking down that barrier of that one thing, being fearful of that one thing can break down barriers of so much, you know what I'm saying, stuff that we have inside of us. And we're like, well, I'm scared to succeed. I'm scared to speak up. But once you like, wait a minute, I just injected myself for 42 days with needles and I'm scared of needles. Oh, you can't tell me nothing. I ain't scared of jack. I mean, I think I'm still scared of needles a little bit, but still, I'm not scared of jack. Like anything that I want, I'm go out there and I'm get it. I can't be, fearful of succeeding. I definitely am not fearful of failure. It just is what it is. I'm just keep going. But I did that, and I'm actually still in my 12-week program. I have to go back because I've been off for a couple of weeks because of surgery. But yeah, I'm gonna go back because my 12 weeks are not up. I'm going back to eating good before I go back to my appointment. So at least I'm gonna give them 7 good days. Okay. So I'm gonna eat good for 7 days before I go back because they have a machine that will tell. Like once they put you on the machine, it tells how much sugar you eat.
It's nosy.
Girl, I'm like, oh, girl, all in your business. All in your business. So I gotta, I gotta flush all that out for 7 days. I gotta drink a whole lot of water, all of that before I go back over there. But absolutely, like that whole thing with realizing that how I see myself in the mirror physically and how I see myself spiritually, that it went hand in hand. You get what I'm saying? Like trauma is when a person experiences trauma, it's like somebody putting a fingerprint on their heart or a fingerprint on their soul. You get what I'm saying? And once that fingerprint is there, it's almost like until you really deep dive and do the work on yourself, you can't wipe that fingerprint off. What happens when we put our fingers on mirrors, right? After so many fingerprints on there, you can't even really see what it really is in the mirror. It's the view is distorted. You know what I'm saying? We can only guess what's happening. We can't really see. Our face may droop on one side, but we can't see it in the mirror. We just see an illusion of who we are. And with trauma, when we don't handle trauma the right way, and when I say the right way, that means talking to somebody. I'm an advocate for therapy. Go to therapy. Tell somebody. The first thing to do is to tell somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody. I'm an licensed and ordained minister, but I'll tell people, you can tell people all day long, oh, take it to the Lord, pray about it. But there are people in the church that hear that all the time, but they still battling. You know what I'm saying? So there's another step that needs to be taken, because those 2 or 3 hours that people are at church on Sundays or Wednesday nights, they're not getting what they need on a one-on-one basis. So tell somebody, start going to therapy. Yeah, you pray, but whatever the therapist is telling you, and they say, well, you know what? I think you know what I'm saying, you're battling depression. I think you have, anxiety. I'm going to give you this diagnosis. Whatever they tell you, now you know what to pray. You know what I'm saying? Like, Lord, please deliver me from depression, deliver me from anxiety, help me control my emotions to where this bipolar, diagnosis isn't there anymore. Like that, now you're knowing what to pray for. But when your emotions are just all crazy on the inside and you haven't said it out loud what's going on with you, you don't even know what to pray for. You be like, Lord, just protect me, help me not kill nobody today. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let me not knock nobody head off today, Lord. That's all. That's it. That's all. That ain't giving you no healing. They ain't doing that but saving the people around you. But definitely, this year was definitely an eye opener for me. It was about changing my eating habits and being able to conquer that in my mind to know that I can switch. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I ate bad the last 2 weeks, but today I was like, yep, get yourself back home. Which last year that would not have happened. I would have been eating bad and I would have just kept eating bad because it tastes good. So yeah, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah,
What was the
you
first part
did.
of your question?
And I
Part of your
love
question?
that you
Okay.
talked
Okay.
about being an advocate for therapy because I think more of us need it.
Yeah.
You've heard people say before, therapy is for crazy people. I don't need therapy. Well, the jury's still out on whether or not you are,
That
but
part.
you may need to go ahead and get some therapy. And then so
That's
I don't
it.
want nobody in my business. And then, some of us, grew up in that era of what goes on in this house stays in this house. But then you hear people now adding an extension to that. Not if what went on in this house is killing me outside of this house still today. I'm going to
That's
go
it.
deal with this thing. I'm going to go and talk to somebody. And sometimes we have trust issues. Like there have been situations where, you may have felt open enough to share with somebody, but then they violated that trust. They went and they talked about it or whatever the case may be. And so what that now does is it makes you not want to trust or talk to anybody. But the bad part
Absolutely.
about that is now you're walking around with all of this toxin in your body.
Mm-hmm.
And trauma not only and let's put aside the eating thing because eating is my favorite pastime. However, now trauma, stress, um, all of these things can not only affect you physically or mentally, make you feel a type of way, but they can actually make us sick. I went
Absolutely.
to an event, they were honoring women with cancer, and this young lady told us that stress can lead to cancer. And I was like, so wait a minute, say what now? Is this real? And I did some research on it, and it is actually a real thing. So when people say that thing, stress will kill you. It can because it can raise your blood pressure, which can lead to
Absolutely.
strokes. Again, we talked about
Absolutely.
how you eat all of these things, and so now it's leading to all of these different health issues because you're not eating. I'm feeling the type of way. I'm in my emotions. I'm not going to get a salad. I'm probably not about to go grab me a little handful of sunflower seeds or nuts. I'm probably not
Right.
granola and yogurt. I'm probably not going to get a smoothie that's all healthy and fit and all of that. 9 times out of 10, you're grabbing something that's going to fill you, something that's going to taste good, yummy, yummy, yummy. Even people who eat healthy, when they have their binge moments, now, some of them are disciplined enough where they eat healthy still, but they overindulge. So you're overdoing
Right.
it. And so for me, the reason it was a real tricky thing for me being an emotional eater is I'm an overindulger. If I'm doing something, I'm all in. So 9 times out of 10, and some small stuff doesn't register for me that I'm eating it. I can literally sit and eat a whole big bag of potato chips in one sitting and not feel like I've eaten anything or not even realize, is this the bottom of the
Right.
bag? Because it doesn't register that I'm eating it. Certain candies, it doesn't register. Like them little chews, it be just like a big old pile of them little wrappers, and I'd be like, who ate all of that? Who did it? Because it wasn't
I'm
me.
not
But
making
it's
fun
because I'm
of
doing this.
you. Yeah.
It's not registering. And so I love that the advocacy for therapy. I really think some of us can benefit from it. And what you don't realize is sometimes It's just being able to let it out. I went to
Yeah.
a therapist once. She asked me 3 questions, and I had told her all my little business in that hour, honey. I was like, "Oh, so yeah, oh yeah," because da 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 and da 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 da. And then when I got quiet, I was like, "So I'm." First of all, I went there. We were sitting. I was like, "Where the couch?" Because you hear about therapy, you're supposed to be laid out on the couch.
Right. It's supposed
She's
to be
like,
a
"Oh no,
couch.
we don't have the couch. You just get comfortable in chairs." So when I would stop talking, she would ask another question. Then that released another floodgate of I got quiet again. She asked another question and then and it was like, wow, I feel good. She didn't tell me nothing. She didn't even give me no instruction. It was just freedom to just
Get it out.
release. And we're all
Yep.
different. Some of us, we're going to have to, as Iyanla would say, do the work, beloved. So for
Yes.
some, there's a lot of
Yes.
work. There's activities. You got to go back and revisit some things. They may have you write letters to the people that have wronged you just to get it out so that you can release it
Yep.
instead of having it pinned up. Some people may, take on the form of, like, I'm going to represent whoever did this to you. Go ahead and tell
Right.
me how you feel. And so you're releasing to them. And when you're done, you're all emotional. And they literally can be like, I am so sorry for what I did to you. They're not even the person that did it, but you're so in that moment that just them
Yeah.
responding is like freedom. Because sometimes that's all we're waiting on when we've been through some trauma is, I want you to really be sorry for what you did. I need you to know
You
that
you
what you
want
did
you
was
want permission
wrong.
to no longer feel sorry for yourself and stay in that moment. And the
Mm-hmm.
only way that permission comes is through an apology. And it doesn't have to sound like that person. The person doesn't have to look like that person. It's just a thing of, I've released it and this was the response. That gives me permission to take myself off the hook.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes like that was before, and that was powerful exercise. But I think for a lot of people, they don't realize that they are beating themselves up. Like we'll beat ourselves up more than we'll beat the right. How you like? Why you didn't do X, Y, and Z? Like like you could have right hook, gave a 2-piece combo, something, right? Like you that's how we be in our heads, right? But then you hear that apology, and it's almost like, wait a minute, I forgive myself. Because it ain't really about the other person. It's about us not forgiving ourselves, because for some reason in our mind, for some trauma that has come, we feel like we could have prevented it. You know what I'm saying? And so now it's like, I got to forgive myself. And we will confuse the two. We'll confuse unforgiveness for the perpetrator with the unforgiveness of ourselves. That's why we're able to function, because we are focused on, I'm angry and I'm upset at the perpetrator. I'm
Hold on, you're breaking up. Hold on, you're breaking up.
But when you realize that you are holding yourself in captivity, am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Hear me now?
It's still
Can you
doing
hear
a
me?
little bit.
Let me see. Let me come off my Wi-Fi. What about now?
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Okay, we good? Okay, cool. So I was saying, like, we confuse unforgiveness for the perpetrator with our, like unforgiveness with ourselves. So we're able to function because we're like, I'm mad because someone did something wrong to me, right? And, like, I'm good with myself. And so we continue to move throughout life. But once we realize that the anger that we have and that feeling that's in us has nothing really to do with the perpetrator and everything to do with ourselves, our confidence, our self-esteem, and how we allow the situation to take over us and who we are as a people, then that's when we're like, oh, it's about forgiving myself. Like they said they sorry, whether it's in an exercise or whether it's in real life. They said they're sorry. They're not holding me in bondage. I'm holding myself here. Yeah. So how do I get out of it? Open your mouth and tell somebody, I'm not okay. Sis, why you not okay? Well, let me tell you why I'm not okay. And that's just the first step. And you know what I'm saying? Like, we can try to go and cry and throw up. That's cool. But when you get up, I pray that while you was down there, you had the strength to know what it is that you needed to be delivered from.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap up. But before we do, I kind of want you to bullet point some things for us. So we talked about how, like, we've talked about the route you're going, what relates to shedding weight physically. What would be, so no therapy is going to be one, but what would be the top 3 things you believe that everyone should have or participate in shedding weight spiritually? It's breaking up bad, sis. Like you underwater and slow dragging. Come on, computer. I can't hear nothing.
Self-evaluation. Why is it breaking up? I turned my Wi-Fi off. Cause you good on this end.
Yeah, like,
can you hear me?
I'm not breaking up. It's just you.
What is wrong with this thing? Perfectly fine.
I heard you right there.
Like,
you froze, but I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
But you froze.
And on my end. Okay. This thing crazy. Technology is a mess. I hope ain't no storm coming down there. So
go ahead.
So self-evaluation. So of course, therapy and self-evaluation. When you're, you need to know who you are as a person. And you need to be real. When you do self-evaluation, be honest with yourself about what you see, about how you feel about yourself and all of that. And accountability. When you are shedding, spiritual things are really just between us and God. And because we feel like other people don't know, we don't really have to be accountable to them. We just be like, oh, well, it's just the Lord knows my heart, So definitely being accountable to yourself and setting a goal and sticking to it. And whether that goal is, God, I'm gonna give you 30 days of fasting and praying, and at the end of it, show me. You know what I'm saying? Like, show me. Don't show me as how you want me to be or how I think I am. Show me, not only how I really am, but how other people see me too. Because we'll be like, oh, I don't care what nobody think about me. Lies. Because sometimes those are telltale signs that there is an issue that we need to take care of. And as long as we say, we don't care what nobody else say, we don't care what other people think. And sometimes some people telling the truth. Sometimes you don't have to internalize it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, take what they're saying and be like, oh, wait a minute, is that me? And if you find that it's not, then either me throw away the bone. But if you find that those characteristics, or you find that there's a common theme amongst what people say about you, then, baby, you got a problem. So yeah, therapy, self-evaluation, self-evaluation / honesty, and then accountability. When you are definitely shedding spiritual weight, it's really about you and God. I didn't tell a whole lot of people what I was doing and going into a whole lot of detail, especially not early on. There was a handful of people who knew early on what was going on. As I got closer to the end of the first phase, I then would tell people, okay, yeah, this is what I'm doing. But I didn't need people PREY. I ain't need them praying on me. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't praying for me, I don't need it. I didn't need the negative comments. Oh, well, like, you could have went to the gym. You could have stopped eating, but you didn't. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things, like, you have to make sure that it's real and that you're ready for it and that you're prepared for it. And because when you're doing therapy, self-evaluation with the honesty and accountability, and you start dealing with that trauma, there's going to be people who in your now that don't understand who you were then in that trauma. And because we are so great at hiding that thing, the people who we know now will not know how to handle us in that traumatic phase. You get what I'm saying? Because we done hid it for so long. But once you start peeling back the layers, and once you start, you know what I'm saying, bringing that thing out, it's out there now. And so if you bring in the wrong people during that time while you trying to get yourself together, you will be a detriment to yourself, and you'll do more harm than good. So definitely with self-evaluation, you got to make sure that you evaluate your circle too. So make it personal. About you and God, girl.
Don't start me with that circle. My circle is more like a dot.
Right there.
But it's so funny you mentioned that piece, because even with, like, when you think about the caterpillar transforming to the butterfly, it's that cocooning stage, because the metamorphosis, I think is the term.
The metamorphosis.
The process is simply ugly, and everybody can't handle seeing such a grueling process. And if we think about that in a natural aspect, the peeling back of the layers, when you're going through that, like, there's some ugly stuff that comes up. And I remember my prayer partner told me, she was like, you know, Mo, in order for it to come out, it's got to come up. And so during that coming up stage, everybody can't handle what they see when they're looking through the window at your life. Absolutely. And so they tend to step back, fall back, go, away or whatever. And so even in that, I would even caution, like, it's certain stages and phases in your life where I feel like we shouldn't make big decisions, because you're emotional, and what you feel today will change in 5 minutes, and it'll change again in 20 minutes. And by the end of the day, you could have been in 5 different places at 5 different times. And we did all 5 of those places 3 times within that one 24-hour span. Absolutely. So it's that thing of you learn about a lot about your friends when you're going through. And the thing is understanding that every friend can't handle what every friend can handle. And it doesn't mean it's not a good friend. It just means when this is going on, in order to reserve our relationship, I have to protect you from me, because this finna get ugly. Absolutely. Like, you know who to call when you about to get the Vaseline, take off the earrings, and you know who to call in ponytail and Vaseline mode. You can't call all your homegirls.
You don't call the prayer partner, girl, when you ready to put on some Vaseline on your face.
You don't call the encourager, because she gonna be like, or the peacemaker, because she like, don't do it, y'all.
How y'all not about sharing it over? I come against that spirit. No. Sis, I ain't call you for that right there. I ain't call you to go in tongues. I ain't call you to come against no spirit. I call you for you to put your tennis shoes on.
Because you didn't shut me to death.
Right.
By the time I get off the phone with you, I want to fight myself. I don't even want to.
You be like, you know what? I'm tired. You know what? Forget it. I'm tired. I'm just going to bed. Whatever.
And I think that is so critical, because I feel like in this day and age, it becomes real easy to cut off people. And then even when you kind of outgrowing, you go separate ways or whatever the case may be. For me, when something shifts and it's different, because I know out of sight, out of mind, and my fallback game is real strong. When you start moving different, if I respect or value the friendship, hey, what's going on? Because before I get in this other mode, I'm not gonna be nasty towards you or none of that. What I'm saying
Be
is
cordial.
I'm finna be real unavailable. I'm finna be real unaware about what's going on. Cause as far as I'm concerned, I'm gonna give you all the space you've been telling me you need every time I reach. I'm not acting
Oh
funny. I'm just
Lord.
finally getting the message you've been sending me. And so now I'm
Oh
acting
Lord.
accordingly.
And I'm gonna be amicable about it. You know, I'm amicable. I'm cordial, but like you said, I'm unavailable emotionally, physically. Like I'm just unavailable, and it ain't. There's no hard feelings or anything. It's just that, and that was something that I had to realize too in shedding spiritual way. Like you can't hold on to everybody. You can't hold on to everything, and sometimes that thing, that stressor, that trigger, that it'll be some of those things that you're holding on to. And when you start letting go of them, you be like, where did that peace come from? And that's
Look,
why,
my
you
ex
know,
is throwing back.
life is, you know what? I'd be glad when okay, anyway. It's life is funny in a way of, you know what I'm saying, like how I view life, you know what I'm saying? Like when it comes down to my mental health and when it comes down to my spiritual walk with God, like everybody is expendable. And I'm not sorry about it. Everybody is expendable. If it comes down to me having to separate myself for my mental health, or you know what I'm saying, the instruction from God is, okay, you gotta put some distance. It is what it is. Like that's just what it is. And I'm not sorry about it, because at the end, my entire life is lived so that when I'm no longer here, I get to see the Father.
Come on.
And whether you there with me or not, that's neither here nor there to me. I'm worried about my own soul. I'm only responsible for myself. So when it comes down to my mental health and it comes down to my spiritual walk, everyone is expendable. There are no permanent spaces, because sometimes we can have friends for 25, 30, 40 years, but they toxic. And it affects your mental health. And it makes you not a bad person, but it makes you an unhealthy person. So I'm not sorry about telling people you're not, I mean, there ain't no permanent fixtures when it come down to that. You know what I'm saying? Like it just is what it is. So when I die, I gotta die by myself. And I can't be like, oh, well, you know what, my friend Molly Sue, you know, every time she went through, you know what I'm saying? Lord, you know, I put on my Vaseline like 10 times for her. And she kept going back to him. So I gotta pay for that? Oh, okay. All right.
Girl,
You gotta go.
With you.
You gotta go. I mean, it's real, but you know what I'm saying? This is like, that's how it is. There are no permanent fixtures when it comes down to mental health and your spiritual walk. The only permanent thing that is in my life is Jesus Christ. Now, everything else, now is it gonna be some people that's there to the day I die? Absolutely. But if at any given time, if any of those people start to affect my mental health or start to affect my spiritual walk, or I feel like it is a tug and a pull and it's contrasting to my spiritual, you gotta go back. And I'm gonna be like Beyonce, sorry, not sorry.
Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
The conversations. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, but before I do, is there anything you want to share with the ladies, or whatever encouragement, or if you have something coming up that you want to direct them to, and how to connect with you?
I would definitely say for encouragement, like we are more alike than we are different. When we think that we're walking down a road alone and that no one else has experienced what we've experienced and no one else has gone through this, the devil is a lie. There have been generations of women who have gone through, and I speak to women directly, that have gone through, you know what I'm saying, what you've gone through. You're not alone. You're not the first. You won't be the last. So that means there's already a blueprint of how you get over it and be able to live life through it. but no one will know what it is that you're going through until you open your mouth and get that release. You got to get it out. You have to tell somebody, and stop thinking that you have to fulfill this persona of being perfect. There is no perfect person. Okay. So you can be a strong friend and still cry. You can be a strong friend and still need other people at times. You can still be a strong friend and still be vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop feeling like you have to be a stone pillar. You know what I'm saying? Like a stone statue. That's not how we were meant to be. So open your mouth and tell somebody. You ain't going through it alone. And when you open your mouth, you'll have a whole bunch of women around you being like, girl, I thought I was the only one. Me too. Start a whole different Me Too movement. So definitely talk about it with somebody, right? So that's my encouragement. I do also, in December, I'm so excited. I get to take 35 ladies on an all expense paid business retreat. It's Grind and Grace in December 11th through the 14th. And I'm just excited about it. You know what I'm saying? We are looking for sponsors to be a part of this great movement with us, but it has been a journey, like picking the women applying and sending out their invites and everything. It's been so awesome. And I just thank God that my husband and I are able to do this. My team is amazing. With planning this, we're going to Florida. All their flights have been purchased. The palace has been reserved. And yes, it is an entire palace. So I'm just excited about that. And if anyone's interested in being a sponsor, or if you would like products to be in the bags, and this is something I'm always extra. I don't know what it is, but I'm always extra. So a lot of times we go to events and we get gift bags, and then the people just throw the gift bags at, they throw them to the side. Well, not for this event. If you are interested in being a product sponsor, not only will your items be in the bags, but also there will be a review. So all of the attendees will follow you on social media, and they will do a review and tag you on social media. It sounds like it's something so simple, but let me tell you, when you have 35 people that maybe have at bare minimum 2,000 people on their friends list, and on one social media platform, when they start going across all of their social media platforms and they start shouting you out, the power of referrals is amazing. So
yes, ma'am.
Definitely hit me up if you're interested in being a sponsor or being a product sponsor. We would love to have you. Yeah.
Do me a favor.
Thank you so much.
Tag me in it so that it'll be on my page and I can share it.
I will definitely tag you.
And make sure to put like your handles on your other social media sites so people can connect with you and follow you. I don't know if y'all see it on the screen, but her name, well, I can't put it. Y'all not gonna see it anyway, but her name shows up. Coach.
And on my social media, it's my name.
Oh, well, there you have it. And so you can connect with her if you're looking for someone to coach you through some things, and you can find out about what other services and things like that she offers. All of the information will be tagged on my Facebook page, and then I'll I'm kind of challenged when it comes to IG, so I was gonna tell you to tag me on Instagram, but ain't no telling.
I'll tag you on Facebook.
I might just go find it and repost it or something.
I'll tag you on Facebook.
So tag me on Facebook. So be looking out for that. And you also have a book out, Grace.
I do. Grind and Grace 21-Day Purpose Guide for the Strong Friend. You can purchase it on Amazon. It is an interactive book where after every chapter, there's a call to action. Listen, you want to do so, you talk about the 3 points, self-reflection, get that book.
All right. Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll have you back some other time if you're willing.
Yay,
we're going to do
absolutely.
a bigger panel. I want to have, so we're always talking about unpacking something that we as women face here on this show. So we'll have you back for some other things we have going on. Probably, especially at the top of the year, because I got a lot of stuff we want to zip up in.
Come on.
So yes. I want to have some with the married sisters and the single sisters having some conversations and all of that good stuff. We have a lot of things planned, so we'd love to have you come back. Y'all got it on here. It's recorded, and she said yes, she would come back. So look for her again.
Yes.
Go ahead and get you some rest. Thank you so much for joining. I'm gonna let you go and then I'll close out the show.
Thank you. And I enjoyed myself. Thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. I enjoyed you as well. See you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. You heard her. She gave us 3 points, and they were for dealing with oh, why my brain go blank when she dropped off, when she logged off. 3 things you need when dealing with when shedding weight spiritually. Therapy, self-evaluation, honest self-evaluation, knowing who you are and being accountable. And I think it's really key that she emphasized it as being honest. And the one thing that I really want to point out with that is you have to be real with yourself. You have to be honest with where you are so that you can determine how far you are, so you know which direction to go in. Like, I understand the whole faith in it and speaking it, and you want to do those things. But at some point, you have to be raw, uncut, honest with who you are, what you need, where you're going, where you're headed. And even that thing of what it is you need, you have to be honest about that. Even in your connections, you have to know that you're worth it. You have to know that you deserve good, that you deserve God's best, that you deserve love, that you deserve to be healed, that you deserve to walk around a healthy, happy, and full of joy. All of these things are available to you, and you are deserving of them. Don't let anybody tell you different. So accept that, own that, embrace that, and then walk this thing out, okay? So it's been another episode of Confessions and Conversations with your girl, your host with the most, your favorite chick to chit chat with, Miss Mo. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some good information, some great tips. I hope you enjoyed kicking the bubbles with me and my girl, Lencia. Join me back next week. We'll be with Stephanie Roll. We have some great things we'll be discussing on next Friday, same time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then the last Friday of this month, we'll be dealing with insecurity. So we're going to have a panel of women who will share their bouts with insecurity, whether or not they've actually fully addressed it, or if there's things that they're still struggling with, or if they've made some stride in that process. You do not want to miss it. And guess what? I still have a couple of openings to be a part of that panel. I have about 3 ladies thus far, but I want to get a couple more to just kind of round it out for a great conversation, give you guys some different stories, some different angles, because everybody's issues with insecurity are not the same. However, there is help for us all. So if you're listening and you would like to be a guest on the show Friday, September the 25th, I believe is the date, please inbox me. Drop a comment if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're connected to me on any of the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, inbox me, DM me, whatever that site's thing is called. Just get in contact with me some way. If you have my phone number, text me, call me. If you have my email address, email me. Any type of communication you have with me, be sure to reach out sooner rather than later so that we can get you on the list, on the schedule, on the calendar, and get that link out to you. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy, and as always, keep it kingdom. Bye.